What actually happens in a coaching session? I'm going to spill the tea. I'm Ruth Kudsey. This is the Coaching Hub. Let's get into it. Let's reveal what really happens in a coaching session. So first of all, let's think about the length. The International Coaching Federation, or ICF, say that a coaching session is anything from 20 minutes. And I'd say 20 minutes to 2 hours. Usually you're looking at between 30 minutes and 90 minutes. So first of all, you've got a difference in terms of time. Usually that's based on the client. It might also be based on your preferences. I know for me, I don't do sessions usually for over an hour. If I do, they have breaks in because I know my attention isn't as good if I'm there for longer. If I'm in person, we can build in more natural breaks, but on Zoom, I need to get away from the screen. So I do a little bit for my own comfort, but also thinking about my clients as well. So usually my sessions are 45 minutes to an hour. So we've got the time. We then also need to think about the location. So where do you have your coaching sessions? Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, phone, in person, any way that you can talk to people. I have done chat-based coaching. It was awful. Probably is what AI does now. Didn't enjoy it. So you need to be able to communicate with the human. So, phone, Zoom, or in person. All of them have positives and negatives. Some people still swear by phone. You can't have the visual cues, but often you'll notice people go deeper and share more on the phone. Walking coaching can be great. Coaching outside, coaching inside. Again, lots of variables there. And I always say to new coaches, test it out, see what you enjoy. Same as the time as well. But then we're looking at what happens in a coaching session. And I've got a model, and so that will kind of help us to think about this, which is called our selfless model. So before we go into a coaching session, we need to think about our state as coaches. The reason being, our nervous system really impacts how we show up. And we need to kind of make sure that we can be as present as possible with our clients. So I always say to people, leave 5 to 15 minutes before, maybe have a little ritual, maybe have a hot drink, maybe light a candle or some incense, maybe listen to your favorite song, maybe write down some words of affirmation. Get yourself a little ritual before each session. When you get more experience, you might not need 15 minutes, but it's just nice to kind of get present, connect with that person, think about how you want that session to go. Then when you're in the session, usually it's about building that relationship. So I always say, imagine that you are in person, and I don't know if this is because I've got a mum from Yorkshire, but whenever anyone comes into my house or does anything, the first thing I do is I ask them if they want a cup of tea. So imagine that you're making them a cup of tea. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes. So just use that kind of water cooler, tea making, whatever you want to think about, just to check in, a human to human check. Most people love this. Some people may not like it. So again, you start to get to know your clients, but ask them, how are you? What's happened since we've last spoken, or what's new? What's been going on? Just that human to human check-in. What's great about that is you can learn a lot about their emotional state, their nervous system state, what's going on for them, and you can help them, if needed, calm their nervous system or reduce their stress levels so they can access the coaching more effectively, which could be movement, breathing, meditation, silence, space, or it's just a way of building that trust and safety and relationship, because it is a relationship. And great coaching, it happens over time. And I often think, when I've worked with clients over a number of years, because that trust and safety is there, we can go deeper a lot quicker. And I know that I can be more effective because I know them. So I do think there's a really key part of building that relatedness. And then you talk about, what's the point of being here? Obviously, you wouldn't say what's the point, but really it's, why are we here today? What is it that we're going to talk about? Now, sometimes clients can be a bit stuck on that. So you might be talking about, you might look at a tool, you might offer them that, or you might decide to have set questions. But usually, again, relationally, what's brought you here today? What would you like to get out of the session? What would you like to talk about today? What would you like to focus on? So just making sure that there's some kind of direction. We know it doesn't need to be a strict goal, but just understanding kind of the purpose or the content of the session, knowing that this doesn't need to be tangible. It can be, I want to feel less overwhelmed. Okay. If you were at the end of the session feeling less overwhelmed, what would you notice? How would you know that we've got there? Just getting them to connect in with what success feels like or looks like or what will be different can be really effective for them. You might also want to choose a scaling question. So you've talked about overwhelm. Use their language, by the way. You've talked about overwhelm. If you're thinking about where you are right now on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of overwhelm, where are you? And then where would you like to be at the end of the session? So we've got a little bit of a barometer. I've used overwhelm because it's an interesting one because, yes, the brain loves positive. So if we've got a positive goal, it can be really useful for our brain's cognitive power at the front here, our prefrontal cortex and surrounding area. However, sometimes using the client's language, I believe, is more effective than having that positive, especially at the beginning. Yeah, we've always got the positive in our pocket we can look at later, but using the client's language builds trust and safety. Yeah, so it's a way of showing that we're listening. So just make sure that you always do that. So we've got some idea of the direction of the session. Now, usually it's not a once and done. So we might, okay, I want to feel less overwhelmed. So we might be exploring, well, what does that mean? Yeah, it's great to explore meaning of words because we are interested in our client's brain, not our brain, and everybody will have a different meaning. So we might be exploring that. We might be digging deeper, like what specifically, what will that mean to you? Like, what is it about this that's making this really relevant right now? So we're doing some digging. So our client is clear on what they're focusing on. We're clear, but also that we're starting to recognize the bigger meaning of this topic. And that's really useful for our clients' brains as well. So, okay, so this is really important to me because, okay, so they're going to be more committed to taking the action if it's really important. If it's not important to them, we might be digging a little bit more. Well, what else is going on that could be something that's important to you to discuss right now? So, sometimes I've had clients who really, really struggle with that part. So what it might be is they want to use the session to get clear on what their priorities are, or they want to use the session as a thinking space to decide what they're going to look at next. That's absolutely fine as a direction, as long as we know what the session is about. So if you've got clients who are really struggling with like, I don't know, okay, how about we use this session as a thinking space so you can get clarity on your thoughts? What would that feel like? What is clarity to you? What would help you in terms of your brain? I mean, that's really what we're talking about. And then we are really present with our clients. So what that means is, as much as possible, it's about the client, who they are. So we might be asking them things about their values or their emotions or their beliefs or their biases or assumptions, what they want to bring. Okay, so they're talking about overwhelm. We don't start talking about their relationship or the weather. We stay on their agenda, not our agenda. And we are noticing what is going on for them, maybe through our lens, but as much as possible, we've turned down the noise on our internal distractions. So our own thoughts and emotions, or we are using them as data in terms of our relationship. So, I'm just noticing that I'm feeling a bit like this. I wonder if that's me or them. Again, another reason why our state is important. So we're present, we're listening with all our neural pathways, all our senses, and we're exploring with our listening. So maybe looking at words, maybe paraphrasing, maybe summarizing, using their language, exploring emotions, noticing shifts in body language. And then we are evoking awareness. We're asking questions that help our clients to see things differently. Maybe it's about looking at the reality first, and it's thinking about themselves differently, their situation, and moving towards the direction they want to go, towards the outcome or topic. So that is always a dance. Now we can do that completely relationally. So questions, silence, or we can integrate tools. When we integrate tools, we do so with permission. So maybe we like visualization and our clients opt in. So they like visualization. It works for them. Doesn't work for everyone. So we might offer that. If a client's really stuck on ideas, visualization can actually take people into more of a positive effect, which can be beneficial for the brain and decision making and creativity. So we might do that. Or maybe they're talking about strengths and we look at a particular strengths-based tool with their permission. Or maybe we're looking at something related to values. Or maybe we're looking at well-being and we're looking at a model like PERMA related to well-being. Or maybe we're getting them to draw something. Or maybe we're just doing some breaths. Or maybe we're getting them to use objects to represent things. Maybe we're getting them to stand up. We've got all of these different things that we can do and we can be flexible. Some clients we might recognize really enjoy tools. Some might not. Some coaches really enjoy. Some might not. So this is a bit about your unique coaching style. For me, I don't use many tools, but I do breathing, visualization, occasionally a little bit of meditation, but more breathing and visualization with people, and sometimes getting them to stand up, to move around the room, to look at things differently. So that's what I like doing. But I have people on my team who love sharing tools, who like sharing visuals. Again, you're working with your preferences and your clients' preferences. And then at the end of the session, it's like a bit of a wrap up. How did they get on? And what are they going to commit to? This is key because they need to take the action outside the sessions to build the neural pathways. So if you're thinking about it, I call it the 3-part coaching session. Why are we here? Listening, helping them evoke awareness and get new insight in their brain. And then what will we do about it? And that's basically it. And so it's very relational. It's relationship based. Actually, the client talks about 80% of the time, the coach about 20. We say we partner with the client. So we ask them what they want to do rather than telling them. And it's very much, we are a detective helping them to find clues and patterns based on what we're hearing. I absolutely love it. And so I'd say that is a typical coaching session. Usually, most people that I work with, and me included, probably couldn't have, if they're an hour, more than 5 of those a day. I know people who have got a coaching load of about 20, 25 hours a week. I would say that would be a maximum because it can be quite energetically draining, especially at the beginning when you're taking on a lot of emotions. There might be a lot of transference of energy. So over time, you might be able to do more. But think about the breaks in between sessions as well. So really, you are providing a thinking environment. You are completely present and listening to your client, and you are helping them find solutions. And it is so powerful. If you have not ever had coaching and you're really curious, get in touch with me. Just email ruth@optimuscoachacademy.com and we can set you up with a free session with one of our students so you can experience it. Because honestly, when you experience it, you recognize the power in you is there. Remember, you can always find us at optimuscoachacademy.com. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.